Blog Talk Radio.
Winston-Salem, it's Sunday Night Dead. interesting zombie. I don't always listen to internet radio. I'm usually having friends over for dinner. But when I do, I listen to Sunday Night Dead with my good friend Matt. Stay hungry, my friends.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Sunday Night Dead. I'm Mathew Slozer from Autumn Moon Paranormal here in beautiful Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Feeling a little too familiar here in the studio lately. This is actually my third show in 4 nights here on Dead Air. I did a special kind of substitute fill-in on Thursday night. We had Thursday Night Dead, and we may be doing that again this week or in the near future, so keep that in mind if you're listening on Thursdays. And then I actually helped out Riley's show, Club Para, on Friday. Had both Ben Henson from Fact or Faked and Nick Groff from Ghost Adventures on. And so they certainly, whenever you have those types of guests on, the board gets absolutely flooded with calls. So while I was not on the air that you could hear me, I was in the background screening lots and lots of calls, and I have to say, whenever you're doing that as well, it is very interesting what kind of calls come in. Some of you might know anyway, because we've had our share of interesting ones kind of make it through here as well. The most famous one being the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air rap guy, which I still get a kick out of. All right, I'm seeing in the chat again. Yes, it is on. Anyone in the chat that's not hearing this, I'm going to put on here. Somebody please let me know if you can hear. If you can hear me. So I am still talking, and we are supposedly on live here. So I'm going to put on, can anyone hear me? Always interesting. You got to love, I don't even have, as far as I know, the orbs aren't around messing with me today, so let's see. All right, looks like people are hearing it. So, all right, sorry about that. If that ever does happen, just go ahead and hit your refresh button. I'm not sure what the deal is, but I know some people are out there have trouble with the audio when it happens, so who knows? It may have been those nasty orbs getting after me again. But anyway, anyone who doesn't know the background story on that is I've pissed off the orb community, and when I say the orb community, I don't mean people who believe in orbs. I mean the actual orbs themselves, with a post I had on advertising the show earlier, and so they periodically sabotage my show, pick up my studio, do all kinds of annoying things here. So anyway, that's the deal there. Sunday, so I got to just add a quick word about my team, the Eagles. They suck. I'll leave it at that. If anyone was listening in on Thursday, we had a surprise call-in show from, or call-in from John Madden. So I'd be really curious to hear how John Madden viewed that total meltdown this afternoon. But anyway, that was a interesting show. What we did on Thursday, I'm going to kind of leave it open tonight as well if anyone wants to weigh in on this. In addition to our normal paranormal discussion, we were talking about favorite horror movies because it is kind of the season for that. And also this controversy that seems to pop up in some locations worse than others, and that's the whole deal of Halloween, just harmless fall fun for the kids or deep, dark, satanic holiday. So anyone wants to call and weigh in on those, in addition to having any questions for our guests tonight, which we have Emerald Coast Paranormal Concepts and PRG Utah here as well, Tracy Todd from Emerald Coast and Gary Price from PRG here tonight. You can give us a call, area code 646-929-2384, or send in a message in the chat, and we will relay that on. Also want to let you know, on Facebook, we have the Sunday Night Dead Facebook site. Feel free to check us out there. We post various things about upcoming shows, and also get your feedback as to what topics or who you would like to see on the shows. And I have to add, both our guests tonight are results from that. There was quite a bit of interest in having both Emerald Coast and Gary Price on. So they're on by popular demand here. So definitely check out that Facebook site and give us feedback as to who and what you would like to see on the show. Also, my contest for October is call-ins. Last month we did people who liked the Facebook site were in for a drawing at the end of the month to get a relatively uncommon Dead Air t-shirt. This time it is going to be people who call into the show. So call into the show. It actually has to be a legitimate call, not giving a shirt to someone doing a crank call, because we had one of those this month. But go ahead and give a call, have a nice comment, and you will be in the running to get one of those shirts, which right now, John Madden's one of our biggest. It's a 50-50 between John Madden and another person who we will not name right now. All right, with no further ado, I will go ahead and bring on, oh, nope, sorry, got to give a quick shout-out to my friend Dale, who I grew up living next to, who it's his birthday today, so big happy birthday to Dale on that. And also, one of the things we want to talk about tonight is the whole idea of locations charging for investigations. And something I noticed, and John Coghill from South Jersey Soul Searchers had mentioned this earlier about just how the rates are going sky high. And I've noticed that as well. There's some local places that we've done in the past that we've doubled back with, and some of these things have gone from basically being free to investigate to that they won $1,000, which, in my opinion, and we'll get into this tonight as well, some locations I would consider that money well spent, and then in some other locations, when you start comparing them, absolutely no way. I mean, in some areas we're talking about 300 square feet, and they're charging that versus, thousands and thousands of square feet. So, but anyway, with no further ado, let me bring on Gary Price and Tracy Todd. Good evening, guys.
Hey, what's happening, Mathew?
Hey, is this Tracy?
Yes, sir.
All right, Gary, you on?
Yeah, I'm on. Hey, how you doing?
Okay, all right. Well, there's a delay here. It's showing on the board, so this is going to be interesting. Blog Talk's a never-ending adventure. It's kind of interesting. So there appears to be like a 5-second delay as to when it acknowledges that you are live. So that was interesting. So it wasn't saying that you were live when you actually were. So how you doing this evening?
We're good, Mathew. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Really looking forward to this. As I had mentioned just earlier on the show, on the Sunday Night Dead site, 'cause we've only had this show up and running a little over 2 months, and put word out there asking for feedback as to shows and topics and groups that people wanted to see. And both of your groups here definitely were very popular in being recommended to be on the show. So you are on by kind of popular demand here. So I really appreciate you coming on. Really look forward to this discussion this evening. I guess let's start with Tracy and Emerald Coast. Why don't you, just for our listeners out there, tell us a little bit about how you got started in the paranormal field and how you got the group going, and a little background on the group itself.
Well, so I got here with me. First of all, I got Jeff and Susan. Susan's my wife, and she's a case manager, and Jeff is one of our lead investigators. He's also here with me. We got started about a year ago. I've been overall investigating For about 20 years, I've investigated both the living and the dead. I find that through my practices of investigating the living helps me out quite a bit when we're doing the other. We're based out of Panama City, Florida. We try to generally stay in Florida due to gas prices. Once it gets back down to $1.50 a gallon, we'll probably go to Utah, Idaho, places like that. But until then, we're pretty much stuck in Florida. Yep.
I've been investigating for probably about 6 months, and I'm very thankful to have found a group like Emerald Coast Paranormal Concepts that was willing to basically take me in, show me the ropes. I've had an interest in it for probably close to 10 years, but never acted on my desires until now. And so far, it's been absolutely wonderful to be part of this team.
Awesome. How about Susan?
Tracy made me do it.
Yeah, she's. But what actually got me started into it is, throughout my years, and there's a lot of them, I would often see stuff, and just basically blow it off. But then I started thinking, there's really got to be more to this. There really and truly does. So the more I would see it, the more I would think about it. Then I just put my investigative skills together, and bingo, bango, here we are today.
Got to ask a little bit of an elaboration here on the when you said you investigate the living and that helps you investigate the dead. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. I was a security forces investigator. Investigated everything from suicides, plane crashes, car accidents, stuff of that nature.
Okay. Interesting. Now, anything you said about that? You saw some things that weren't kind of adding up, or things that kind of got you interested in this. Was there anything specifically through like your interacting or investigating a accident or something that you had any type of paranormal experience involved with that? Like, let's say someone that may have been involved in the accident trying to get in touch with you, or anything along those lines?
Well, believe it or not, the one thing that I would notice more often than not is when you were to go talk to the family members, they would often talk about the one that was in the accident, if they passed or committed suicide, whatever the case was. But they would often talk about them, and then they would start talking about items being moved, and they would say stuff like, "Oh, I swear I hear them at nighttime," and stuff that we basically look for now. Or okay. I don't want to say look for, but that's, claims that we get from our clients.
Okay, makes sense. How about Gary? How about you? How'd you get involved in this, and how'd you get your group going? And I know I'm giving you 3 questions at once here, and a little bit of background on your group.
Okay. I started the actual group gone close to 2 years ago now. I mean, I did work with another paranormal group, but we just didn't think along the same lines. I had a lot of things happen with me. From very young childhood and through the military, and still up to today. So I decided to get a team together. I got Jeff, Rocky, Felicia, Marcy, and then like Tracy, I have my wife involved, Anna, and she's an investigator and historian for the team. So we sat down, and what we did is everyone I got a group of people who have very diverse beliefs, and I think that comes in healthy and makes a team stronger, especially when you try to go out and put your evidence out there. So Paranormal Research Group of Utah seemed like the good thing to do at the time, and we've been doing well ever since we kicked it up on our own.
Oh, awesome. I'm always intrigued, just being from the East Coast and spending most of my time on the East Coast. I'm always intrigued by kind of the West Coast teams and the things out there. So obviously you have a lot of history in that area, but it's always my kind of impression. I mean, I've been out west, but I can't say that I've been, a lot of places out west that, particularly when you're talking about like the Utah area, that kind of your locations and your population centers are pretty few and far between. So do you end up having to travel pretty extensively to get to different locations, or is there a fair amount of density in some of the areas within Utah?
Oh, we do have quite a bit right here local. I mean, like the old Tooele Hospital, the Ghost of Interest crew went to. We've got 25th Street right down here in Ogden, which is all the original buildings still back from the Western days. A lot of history attached there, a lot of hauntings there. And then you'd be surprised, we do get a load of residentials up here, and most people think, well, it's a Mormon state, they don't believe in that. And yes, they do. And we will travel quite extensively into Nevada. We like going out to Virginia City and just the borders of Nevada, hit some of the old ghost towns. And we're coming up here real soon to go to Amargosa down in Death Valley with 5 other groups, which is going to be a pretty neat thing we're trying out. So we're pretty excited about that.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Not sure if something else was going on. I heard some other talking out there. Just real quick, if anyone wants to have a question for either one of these teams tonight, the number is 646-929-2384. And
yeah, I got Susan manning the computer, so she'll try to answer any questions that come up.
Oh, awesome! And so, Emerald Coast is in the chat. He just said Susan's manning the computer, so she can probably answer any questions that come in that way pretty quickly. One of the things that I wanted to bring up, and Tracy, you and or at least members of your team, I'm not sure if it was yourself or Susan on some of these, we were trading emails on different ideas and things. And one of the things I did want to talk about is, and it seems to be really, I've noticed a lot of it kind of out there online lately. I think it has to do with some of the political stuff that's going on. I think just people are just kind of jazzed up and a little nastier than normal. But, we talk a lot about just the different drama things, and there seems to be a lot of drama out there right now. And so, one of the things is this whole competitiveness between the different teams. And I just kind of want to get your opinion as to, what's driving that, and just get your thoughts in general. My philosophy on this, and so I haven't really gotten too bent out of shape over a lot of these things, is just whether there's 1,000 people interested in what I'm doing, or whether I'm the only one at all interested in doing this, I'm still going to do it because I love it and I'm interested in it. And in general, if you do good work and concentrate on doing good work, a job next door. Of course, there's always different exceptions and things, but somebody doing something kind of wacky, that kind of exists in almost every field and every industry, and so you just got to persevere. And I think the good work ethics and the people with just good ethics in general will persevere, whereas some of the kind of frauds or sloppy, unprofessional people out there, it'll be a little more of a flash in the pan. They'll be very short-lived and then go away. But anyway, just kind of curious on. Let's go over to Tracy first. Get your thoughts on the whole para competition and drama.
Okay, Susan wants to jump in on this, and I'll let Susan answer this.
Go ahead. Absolutely.
Tracy normally doesn't. He pretty much stays on the Gary's page on the Para Family, and he also. Can you hear me? I'm not that close to the phone.
I can hear you. It's a little people in the chat room. If you're having a hard time hearing, please indicate. Because yes, I can hear you. So you can tell you're a little far away from the phone, though.
Okay, let me move. I have friends on my Facebook page that are also paranormal groups from all over, and I do notice that they get very irritated with ugly mail, and there seems to be a lot of it going around, and I personally don't get involved in it. Our group is not involved in that type of thing. We don't throw mud. We don't sling hash. We want to go out there. We want to investigate. We want to do the best job possible. We're very professional and very respectful at all times, and we respect other groups, and we respect what they find and what their posts are, but we just don't get involved in it. And you are correct. People do make nasty comments about people's posts, and that's not the right way to go about it. We're all here to find out answers, and we're all here to do the best job that we can do.
Well, and she's right. She's totally right. However, over the past, you could say 6 months. Over the past 6 months, if you would go back and look at your Facebook page of all the people, all the paranormal groups that's liked you, and then you go back and look, and I would say probably half of them are non-existent anymore. Why that is, I don't know. I believe that they just weren't in it for the right reason. Now, I think in the long run, when it's all, who knows when the end's going to be, but those that have the proper ethics and go about it the right way, I think are going to be in it for the long haul.
I would agree. Go ahead. Sorry.
This is Jeff, Mathew. The one thing that I want to stress is if you keep your own house clean, you're going to get your due share of investigations. What I mean by that is the last 2 investigations that we've done, we've actually been referred by the former client. We do things in a professional manner. We're not out for ourselves. We're in it for the research, not the adventure or sport of it. And if you can keep that in mind when you're doing an investigation, everything's going to work out in the end.
I would agree. And, the one thing I always have brought up, and this may be, the case for maybe some of these groups out here, is kind of my history in this and why I even decided to put my name out there and kind of put the group out there eventually was we were just doing this out of interest. And actually, because this did have a stigma to it, I used to think, people would think I'm a nut job. And, the more and more people, when they found out that I did this, would ask tons of questions and be really interested in it. So I'm like, well, you know what? I'm like, there's so many people interested in this. I'll just go ahead and share what I'm doing, and not a big publicity thing or anything like that. I'll just kind of kick it out there, and if you like it, great. If you don't, it's not going to change what I'm doing. And just kind of throw it out there. Now, I always wonder about some maybe young, excited team or person that's just starting out in this that maybe is a little more sensitive to what would go on from other people's comments, and they just put stuff out there, or maybe put something out there just out of inexperience. But again, they're trying to learn. They're just getting excited about this, and you have 8 people jump down their throat calling them an idiot because they posted a picture of fog or something. And I just wonder how many potentially good contributors to this field drop out just because of a bad experience from somebody that was a bit of a hothead that tore their head off.
Right, I agree with you there, too. As paranormal investigators, we shouldn't judge too harshly either because of that. Now, nobody's here as a professional at this. I don't think we'll ever be professionals about it. However, it's those new groups the young new groups who think they can go out there and try to do what we do without any type of, discussing it with somebody, trying to get some help first, some type of guidance. And not only it could possibly hurt them, but it also hurts us in the long run.
Right, but I guess where I was going on that is it's more beneficial for everybody if if the more experienced groups are willing to help the people that are excited and just starting at this, and do it in maybe a more mentoring way as opposed to a get out of here, you're just another competitive group. I don't know. That's kind of the feel I get about this. That some people are threatened by these other groups popping up, and so they want to kind of run them out of town. Gary, what are your thoughts on all this?
Well, I agree with these guys 100%. But there is an arrogance that exists out there. People who just, I don't know, in my opinion, have self-elected themselves as some elitist experts in the field, when there's really no experts out there. None of us are anywhere near that. And in their arrogance, they'll ridicule other people to make themselves look better, which does makes a valid point with what you had stated, that it'll scare the other people away from trying to get out there and share and then learn from people that had actually experienced it. And with me and Tracy, we've built a page, and we call it Paranormal Family, where you can come in there and put something on. If it's dust, you're going to be told with respect, and you're going to walk away with your self-esteem. We're going to say, well, we've done this, and this is what we found it to be, and we're not scaring anybody off. There's just arrogant teams out there who sensationalize everything, and they just do it for popularity, and it does scare a lot of the newer teams away.
That's why I'll just quick add here, if anyone's new listening to the show, or if you hear anything in the future on it. Not the only, but one of the things that I'm trying to contribute to this through the show is just to kind of lighten things up a bit, since some of the atmosphere out there just seems to be so nasty and so competitive. And so we do a number. What I was doing earlier tonight with the orbs protesting, and we have I'm the only one on tonight that has it, but we've given ourselves self-proclaimed titles that are like 9-10 words long and just exceedingly arrogant. And it's just more tongue-in-cheek to just kind of just kind of lighten up and maybe poke a little good-natured fun at how just crazy some people get with some of these things and getting at it. I mean, in the end, we should all be working together, and we're not really competing over any of these things. We should really be more collaborating and putting our heads together on things and working more on method.
Yeah, hence the paranormal unity.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't take that. Some people take that the opposite way, saying that that means everybody's got to do everything the exact same way. But I don't see it that way. And I've mentioned this before, that I think there's actually strength in, especially if you look back in periods of human history where there was a lot of innovation and a lot of breakthroughs. It happened when fields were kind of wide open and people were out there trying all different kind of crazy things, and people would find different things and build upon it. Not saying again that you defraud anyone or do anything necessarily dangerous, but I would say if everybody does everything the exact same way, we're all just repeating the same mistake. And so I actually, to some, within realms of safety and, having integrity with your data, I actually encourage, trying some new things and seeing what sticks and what doesn't. So we've mentioned this before with, some people get so bent out of shape over the flashlights. I can't say I'm a believer in them, but when a lot of these other things pop up, I will go ahead and use that technique in addition with everything else I'm using and seeing which things seem to correlate and which things don't. And, I would never go back and make a claim on anyone based on just a flashlight going, but again, I want to see if I'm getting voices and and temperature fluctuations and other meter hits that also correspond with what's coming through on that. That would be interesting. I haven't had that happen, but I include it in there just to see.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, the unity part for me anyway is that I totally believe that there is no one person, I don't care what team it is, all the way from those, now don't get mad, Gary, those ghost adventurer guys to the ghost hunter guys. No one team or no one person is going to be able to get all these answers. It's going to take the coalition of everybody to get it.
Yeah, totally agree. Gary, what do you think?
I agree.
I'll just quick kick in. I don't know if Jeff or Susan have anything they wanted to add with any of the whole paradrama, paraunity piece.
Yeah, this is Jeff. One thing that I want to add is that, you know, it was brought up earlier by Gary that, you know, there is no basically right or wrong way to see what you're finding. You know, none of us are dead yet. We don't know specifically what exists on the other side or what we're trying to investigate. You know, one group might get, you know, some evidence while another group may not even come close to getting the same evidence. You know, and your point is well taken where, you know, you can't just use one piece of investigating, for instance, EVPs or K2 meters. It has to be a combination of everything. And if we could just all get together somehow and expand on these ideas, you know, I'd like to know how other groups investigate certain aspects of an area. And basically that's what the, you know, paranormal family is. We throw out ideas out there. We get other ideas from other teams, and we take it from there because, as I said, none of us are dead yet, and we don't know what it's like to be dead. We don't know what spirits are thinking or where they're going or what they're doing.
Exactly. Along those lines, I'm just kind of curious here since I'll go over to Gary first on this one, but just a brief description, and I know it can be different depending on what's, you know, location and what the conditions are, but could you describe just basically your style or approach to conducting an investigation? You know, just overall kind of just general way you go after it and any equipment that you like to use over others or anything along those lines. Just a general overview.
Yeah, well, basically, we do, like everyone does, you got to do all your upfront research or the history of a building or anything like that, depending. But, you know, me from the get-go, and, you know, I stress this to my team constantly, is the respect and compassion, you know, towards whatever may be lurking in the shadows or whatnot. I mean, not everything out there is evil, like some people try to tell you. So you want to treat a soul or a spirit as you would treat another individual. I mean, you want to show the respect, you want to show the compassion, and talk to it decently. Now, you know, I'm totally against provoking, but there are instances where I will lightly provoke if we know that the only thing there, or the history of it, you know, is demonic or evil, just to see if we can get a response. But we don't push the envelope on that one because, of course, we don't want any dangerous attachments or anyone being harmed in any way. Or if the building is owned by somebody still, we don't want to, you know, put them in any additional peril. You know, I get by just fine as far as equipment. Give me an EVP recorder. And my, you know, just a digital camera, and I'm happy, and I'll sit there. It's your personal experiences, and it's you. That's the main tool you're going to use to get anything. And like I've always said before, 80-90% of all your evidence is going to be from your digital voice recorder, and you know, basically that's how I stand on that.
I would agree. I would just add, at least on kind of my style, I try to use exactly what you said, kind of your five senses and your personal experience and personal feel, and then some of the other things is more experimental things to go along just to see if it you know, if you get anything else that accompanies the voices that you're picking up. Like
right.
We had Tim Smith from Penhurst on 2 weeks ago, and I was talking about an incident when I was in the basement of the Mayflower building where we had a meter hit I felt a chill. I felt like something touched my back, and then we got a voice recorder or a voice recording saying it's me. Now, those four things all together mean a heck of a lot more happening all at the same time than any one of those pieces solo. So, I mean, I felt cold. I felt something touch me, and a voice said it's me. I mean, that, those things linked. The odds of that all being coincidental are certainly less than any one on its own.
Right.
Tracy, how about you? Just kind of a general overview of how you kind of approach your investigations.
Right about the same way Gary does. I mean, I think he wrote a book on it, and I must have got it out of a Cracker Jack box because we sure enough do it the same way he does. The equipment, I think, like Gary said, the best piece of equipment that I think I could take would just be my mind itself. Personal experiences are a very, very big thing. But in order for us to go any further in our research, we have to get this stuff documented. So, hence the voice recorder, hence the cameras, so on and so forth. So I think those are a must to take just because of the research part of it that we have to, show. But I think if you go in there with an open mind, clear mind, go in there with respect, as in what Gary said, I think you'll get much better results than you go in there with a clouded mind, so to speak.
I would agree. I have seen, I don't know if this has been your experience or not, and I guess some of the more cynics would say, well, you're kind of mentally predisposing yourself. But, the people that I have seen that have gone into investigations, for the most part, thinking that there's nothing to any of this and that they're just there to figure out all the reasons why, to basically come in and debunk everything. I'm not saying that you don't go in trying to debunk things, but I mean somebody who really, really, really doesn't think there's anything going on there at all. I have very rarely ever seen them have any experiences, and it's very odd, even with the recorders, in the same places getting things. So it's just kind of, wondering, just like I'm thinking if you're lost somewhere, particularly if you're like lost in a foreign country and you're going to go approach someone to ask for directions, you're probably going to approach the person that seems the most friendliest and the most receptive. And so, again, not saying any of this is definitive, just kind of kicking out ideas here and stuff, but I've always wondered if there isn't an element to that, much like, and I'm not comparing spirits to animals here, but, much like animals a lot of times can pick up on someone who is friendly towards an animal versus someone who is not. I'm just wondering, too, if spirits can more or less pick up on who would necessarily be more receptive than someone who is not.
Oh, yeah, I definitely think they can. And, I think if you go in there, like you said, with the mindset that, this isn't nothing, whatever the case may be, then I totally believe you're going to get nothing.
Right. You gotta expect nothing and then look and search for everything at the same time.
Right. That's right.
And I will kind of add to this that one of the theories that I have on kind of what creates some of the drama that's out there with some of these teams being nasty towards others is overlapping or kind of behind the scenes on all this stuff that we're doing is basically people's different, I don't want to say worldviews, but more theological is not right either, but kind of your whole belief system's kind of behind the scenes here. And so, if somebody believes that there's absolutely nothing, then they will tend to want to challenge anything that indicates that or anyone that's trying to claim that there is, and kind of vice versa. And so whereas it might not necessarily be right out on the surface, I think that's kind of a driver to some of the degree of nastiness because, just like they say, never talk politics or religion. There is at least kind of belief system as far as what you think may happen after you pass on that kind of is behind the scenes in all this as well. And I think it kind of plays itself out in a more passive-aggressive way in how some of these posts get reacted to, or how some of these teams treat each other.
I agree.
Yeah, me too.
And like I said, it's a different beliefs, different religious beliefs, different values, whatever it is. It's that diversity that can actually build a team. Everyone puts their own conclusions in, and you hear their side of the story. You don't attack it, and you try to understand it and add it with your own. It all comes out in the wash.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry, Matthew. Go ahead. One thing I'd like to say, Matthew, on that is before we got on the air tonight, Susan and I were talking, and I'm trying to get an investigation set up with a house here. However, the person that I have to go through is a very, very religious person, and I have a feeling I may hit a dead end because of his religious convictions. When you die, you automatically go to heaven or hell. And that is one thing that, we are up against constantly. To go along with that also, I would make a challenge to almost everyone out there that if you were to talk to somebody about the paranormal, I bet probably 1 out of 4 people, and that's just a guess, that's not any type of analysis or anything, would have had some kind of experience. And I've done that many times, picking the right person and just saying, yeah, I'm an investigator for ECPC, and they want to know all about it. And from there, you can just really talk to them about it and see how they feel about the paranormal. But you have to try and bring it up to the right type of person.
I would agree, and I'd add, too, I just gut feel that 1 out of 4 sounds about right, to me at least, from kind of gauging from people I talk to, although I think you'll all probably agree with me on this. I think the reality is the number is much, much higher. It's just, again, getting to that whole kind of skeptical thing. I think people start to tune things out. I mean, I know as I started doing this and got more and more experience, there's things now looking back on that I either didn't think were odd or had questions about that now I have no doubt was some type of activity going on just because of, again, just having more experience and experiencing more of these things. You get to connect more of the dots kind of from things you've experienced in your past.
Exactly. I agree.
Yeah, I agree, too.
Want to just quick throw out again, if anyone would like to call in with a question for our guests tonight, 646-929-2384, or feel free to send in a question on the chat room. Susan with the Emerald Coast team is manning the computer there. She could get you answers very quickly.
Don't be shy, guys. Throw it out there.
Yeah. Talking a whole bunch of different stuff here, paradrama and competition between teams. There is another topic I want to get into, but I'm going to wait until the second hour for that one. So let's kind of shift gears here and just talk about, hopefully we can get some teams and some people involved in the field that don't get driven off right away by some nasty groups. So, somebody just starting out. Well, I guess I'm going to do this 3-part question, but I'll do this nice. I'll be nice. I'll give it one at a time. Kind of start with Emerald Coast on this one, then we'll flip it over to Gary and vice versa. So just in general, new team starting out. We'll get more specifics later, but any words of wisdom for somebody that's just kind of getting started out in the field, Emerald Coast?
I would say one of the first things they ought to do is go ahead and get in touch with perhaps a local team or a semi-local team and possibly hook up with them for an investigation or two. Talk with the team leader one-on-one and get some ideas, and that would be probably my biggest thing right there.
Okay, how about you, Gary? Yeah, that makes total sense. And I don't think you have to buy, crap like me and Tracy. We got loads of equipment. don't think you need to do that when you're first starting out. Eventually, you'll lead up to that. Start with, it's okay just to go out there with just a recorder or just a camera. Doesn't have to be an IR camera, just a digital flash or anything. I mean, don't be afraid. Another big thing, if you're already doing this, come Facebook, come to the Paranormal family and join there. We're going to help you out. We're not going to ridicule you or load you with doubt and chase you away. We're there to listen. And just go for it. If you got the passion for it and you're doing it for the right reasons, just go for it.
I'm going to be going to ask for some shameless assistance here. And Susan, if you're on the computer there, if you could if it's possible at all, if you could post the link for that page, that would be awesome. Anyone listening in then could go ahead and follow that and go ahead and the Paranormal Family page there. That would be awesome. I'm sorry?
She's doing it right now.
Okay, awesome. So along those same lines, you kind of already hit the second question with the equipment piece, but I'll get into the because this is an interesting one because there's so many different ways you can go with this. Locations. So somebody going out and wanting to get involved and wanting to get into these spots. I mean, obviously, if you can get tied in with another group that already has maybe established relationships and is already getting into things, that is one thing. But somebody who just wants to independent of that, go out and do this on their own, what would be your recommendations as far as locations and what to kind of look for and how to go ahead and approach that?
Now, make sure you ask for permission first before you try and investigate anything. Otherwise, you could be on warfare.
Well, I think now, for a first time starting off, once you feel comfortable enough about doing it, I personally think what you ought to do is go to a friend's house, go to a neighbor's house, go to a cousin's house, even if there is no claims of activity. Go through there and practice, overnight or during the day one time. Set up your routine. Figure out what works for you, what don't work for you. And do that a couple, 3 times. And then maybe start researching some local buildings, with some possible history in them. Then go from there. But I wouldn't straight off the bat, I don't think I would. 1 week you got your team, you got 3 or 4 people on your team, you never investigated any place before. I think the very first place I would investigate would be a neighbor's house, something like that first, before you...
Yeah, someone because, you don't want to take a chance, especially with the residential, people you don't know, but they're asking you to help them. And if it's your first time and you go in there and you just do something wrong, you can make conditions worse if there's actually paranormal activity in the home. So, yeah, definitely you want to try, you want to get your system down first. That's a biggie. And if you have a friend or something like that where you can just practice, listen to each other, see how everyone reacts as a group, then you could be ready.
Now, I'm curious on this one, and I agree with you on these things, so I'm not disagreeing. I'm just curious as to your thoughts on the practicing in a location, and do you think that going through and kind of conducting EVP sessions and kind of going out there and looking for activity, do you think that can actually in itself attract activity? And the reason why I mention this is... and it may just be because of what I do, but we've had some odd things happen in our house, but we've had some odd things, looking back again, historically, I've had odd things happen for most of my life. I am reluctant to go ahead and conduct any sessions or do anything in my own house because my thinking is, and unlike going in and doing something to help someone else out, in this case, I'm kind of out there, in contact with spirit things in lots of different locations. So I've always had at least some concern of, you know, that possibly attracts activity to begin with, and then if I go ahead and start, if you do the kind of lost and looking for directions thing, you know, if I'm out there waving a map, could that attract more things? Could that attract more activity around myself? And so I personally don't in my own house for that reason, but I'm kind of curious as to your thoughts on that. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's just my own personal opinion on that. What do you think, Gary?
You know, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that, because it's because there are so many unknowns out there. It's you've got a bunch of people with the mindset, and they're going to be asking the questions, and they're going to be opening up different communication devices. There's no telling if you're going to open a door or portal to somewhere you don't want. With the unknowns out there, you just have to be very careful. But it's my belief that just going out and putting yourself into that situation, that you can actually pull in activity if there wasn't none to begin with.
Yeah, and I agree with Gary. I believe that, my belief that, some of these spirits out there have been gone a long time. Some of them maybe haven't physically talked to anybody in years. So then you get a group of people out here who's actually trying to reach out to them to feel obligated to talk back.
Agreed. Well, folks, it's coming up on the 10 o'clock hour here on the East Coast. It's time where I always do a music break, allow everyone to do a bio break, get a refill on their drinks, anything along those lines. So we're going to play a song here. It's going to be about 5 minutes, so you have 5 minutes to go quick, take a break, and we will be back with Emerald Coast and PRG Utah. You're listening to Sunday Night Dead.
Climbing to a window, step into the floor, check listening to Sunday Night Dead. Wanna play with us? Wanna play with us? Wanna play with us?
Welcome back, everybody, to Sunday Night Dead. Thank you very much for wrapping up your weekend with me this evening. We have Gary Price and Tracy Todd, Susan Todd, and Jeff from Emerald Coast Paranormal Concepts. Also a quick ad, Gary Price is from Paranormal Research Group, Utah. And we'll bring them all back on right now. How you doing, everyone?
Hey!
All right. Well, I wanted to kind of lead off the second hour with talking a little bit about the whole pay locations, and I had mentioned a little bit on the intro that I've noticed. Well, John Coghill mentioned he's up in South Jersey, and he mentioned that the most of the well-known locations, historic locations up there, just the prices are getting astronomical to get into, and I've noticed just myself locally. We've approached a couple locations that we've talked to in the past, and there's just been a massive increase in what they want to be able to, actually most of the places used to be free. Now it's what they're charging to get into the locations. And in some respects, for me personally, if it's primarily to help fund the restoration of a building that would actually keep the building or enable the building to remain there as opposed to getting knocked down, I think that's kind of a different story than some of the other instances here. But again, just kind of curious. I guess I'll kick it over to Tracy first to get your thoughts on the whole paying to investigate locations piece.
Paying to go somewhere to investigate. I agree with you. If it goes towards a good cause, I'm okay with it. Those building structures, groups that want to charge to do it, that's fine. And if you want to pay to go, then you go. My concern is not so much that they do it, that they pay, but to me it's more or less of how they go about doing it when you do pay. Now, I haven't been to every paid place in the United States, so I don't know how they operate. But well, go ahead, Susan.
We recently paid a donation that goes toward the restoration of a place we investigated 2 weeks ago, and we felt that it was a very worthy cause. I'm not real keen on, there's some places that charge a huge fee to bring groups in, and they allow people that are not paranormal investigators to come in, and it's just one big, massive investigation, but really you can't get anything out of it as far as EVPs or pictures or things like that. Those I honestly think they're misleading, and I think they're just people wanting to go with investigators, and investigators don't want them to be there because obviously they're disrupting, and those kind of things that we tend to shy away from.
Now, there's one, give you an example, Sloss Furnace. I hear now that they charge quite a bit of money to go investigate. They give you security, which security is fine. Okay, everybody needs security. Sometimes I feel a little insecure. But why would... It's hard for me to explain how I feel about this. I guess if you're going to pay to go to investigation, then I think you ought to know up front what you're expecting. If it's an actual investigation, then I think you ought to be able to do that. If it's not an actual investigation, then call it something else and call it what it is.
Okay. Yeah, I think I know where you're going with that, and some of the situations, and I guess it really depends on just kind of weighing in my thing of kind of doing your homework and finding out from other people that maybe have done some of these to see what the conditions are like in some of these, because I have heard, I'm not going to name locations, but one place that was an option for us to go to. I heard it was just a giant free-for-all. So, they may maybe let, 70 people in the door or 60, whatever it was, and just let them all run around the building. And so it was a total waste of time.
Right. But on the other hand, there's like Gary himself has got the next couple of weeks, he's got one that's coming up. But, if Gary lived up the road instead of halfway across the United States, I'd be there in a minute. With all the money's going for a good cause, and because I know Gary and his group, it would be a lot more comfortable for me and to let my team go in.
Right. Okay. What I was going to add is I've gone to Trans-Allegheny multiple times, and what I'll say on that, and even I've done the private, and I've done even the public thing there, and actually why I keep going back is I've had good experiences, and what's nice about that place is it is so huge, and they basically break you into, I think the max is like 40 people, and it's like 10 people on a floor, and the floors are a quarter mile long, so
right.
Basically it's like 5 different wards, 5 different locations. Now I will add, I basically let the other people decide where I investigate, although I've never found a dead spot in that building, because what I'll do then is I'll just basically go. I know it's big enough that 10 people. It's generally you're talking 2 to 4 groups are in there, so there's going to be an open spot no matter what. So I just go where the other people don't go, and investigate that part of the building, and I've had decent times. And there's also an element with me of not necessarily the thrill-seeking part of it, but some of these buildings, it's neat to actually be able to get in and see them. I mean, I'm not in there sightseeing; I'm in there investigating while I do it. But there is something to the atmosphere in some of these places. But I would agree, it's kind of buyer beware. I mean, there's places that I've been to and will return to multiple times. There's ones on my bucket list that I would go, that I intend to go to because I've heard good things about, and then there's other ones that, at least from what I heard, sound, again, that it's mostly just a matter of generating revenue and kind of moving people through the door. And
right, and I think as a paranormal team, I think you guys ought to decide before going to one of these paid places what you're going for. And if you're going to go to get the answers from research and do what we normally do to find the answers, if that's what you guys decided you want to do at, let's say, Sloss Furnace, are you going to be able to accomplish that at that place?
Right, and what I would do, but again, this is just me, and I'm not saying right or wrong. This is just my approach on things. Like with Tala or South Pittsburgh Hospital, 2 that I've been to a couple times, it's not a matter of, I know there's some, again, thinking of the paradrama thing, I know there's some teams that will just absolutely flip out by me wording, and that's the way I'm going to word it. It's not a matter of answering that, the overall question as to what's occurring. I approach it more as I'm trying to document and better understand the activity at that location. And that is something that I would be willing to do in that type of location that I would be very reluctant to do at a person's house, because I don't want to use, again, that what we said earlier about, investigating, possibly attracting more activity. I don't want to use somebody's house as a laboratory, so to speak. And so I treat them, to exactly your point, I treat a historical investigation or a work at a historical location very, very differently than I would treat a private residence. Our whole approach, the whole way we would view doing it is very, very different.
Yeah. Now, not only that, Matthew, I've been to the Trans-Allegheny before. I just happened to Be driving through there on the way back to Florida one time from Pennsylvania, and you've seen it, I've seen it. The place is just unbelievably huge. They have to put a lot of money back into that place, to keep it structurally sound to allow investigators in there. So, my wife and I both took the tour of the place, and I had absolutely no problem whatsoever paying their admission fee, whatever they wanted, because I was very curious about it, and I wanted to know about it. And you're right, there are so many places in that building to investigate, but it has to be safe. It has to be maintained, and I'm sure that's what a lot of the, fee goes towards.
Exactly, and that's the one thing that I'm doing here, and this kind of it's research. I consider this research, but it's kind of a little bit of a different angle on it in terms of doing it at a location. I am finding I'll have to send this to you because I have an interesting video where we've done repeat investigations in Lily's room, and a group that I met there, Dead Time, they're actually going to be our guest co-host next week. They'll be on. We were in Lily's room, and they recorded, the one girl started to nod off, and they recorded what sounded like a male voice saying, "Wake up, bitch." And so what's funny is we're there, the last time I was there in March, I'm in the room, and I'm like, just again, trying to generate, and I consider, I'll just quick add this in here, I consider provoking when you're actually trying to intentionally piss something off. Some people actually, say, well, you're provoking anytime you're trying to generate something that is of interest to them or something that might get their attention but not necessarily make them angry, I don't consider provoking. So I'm in the room, and I'm just trying to, it seemed to be kind of dead, so I was just trying to get, something going conversationally. So I'm in the room, and I'm like, there's some people that don't believe there's a little girl in this room at all. Well, I recorded, and I'll have to send this to you. It's interesting. I recorded a voice that said yes and hello again. Now, what's interesting is there's an audio that is responding to the statement I made, and then also apparently recognizing me because he's saying hello again. And so I just thought that was really cool. And I've seen some patterns with picking up similar voices, similar interactions now in certain parts of the building. So that part kind of intrigues me and keeps me wanting to go back. And it's kind of a similar thing at South Pittsburgh Hospital as well. Wants me to, just kind of gets me going and wanting to keep going back to those locations to try to document and get a feel for kind of the patterns of behavior and kind of what's going on in those spots. Again, I'd be less willing to do that in private locations for fear of attracting more things. Gary, I haven't kicked over to you in a while. What are your thoughts on all this?
Well, yeah, some of the places are charging an exorbitant amount of money, but the ones that I go to do specifically use the money to renovate the building to keep it standing, not be torn down. And I agree with that. There's another one that we do here in Utah, which gives the money to the food banks and things like that. But the thing is, with this location, I'm not going to specifically name it, but it used to be $240, and they would lock you in for the night. It's a hospital up here, and you're locked in, with your team, as many people you want to bring, and it's your decision for the entire night for $240, which I thought was quite fair. Well, then the Ghost Adventure crew did an episode in the same building, and the price jacked up to $480. Then it went to $640, and now it's I believe over $800 now to get in there. And I don't agree with that, even though they're saying that the money goes to charity, but they're using the sensationalism of having a TV crew and everything in there to jack the price up, and I don't agree with that at all. But at the same time, I can go into Virginia City, and let's take, for example, St. Mary's Art Museum, which used to be the hospital in Virginia City. They don't take advantage of you. I mean, it's $25 no matter what, and they've had different, TV crews in there. Things like that. Yeah, I'll go, but it's my choice if I want to pay the money to go there. And I agree with Tracy. You at least do it for the right reason. Go and do the research. Don't do it just to say, hell, I was in this penitentiary or this place and you haven't been there. That's just ridiculous. But like I said, as a paranormal group, it's our choice. It's our say so.
Yeah, and that's the one thing we got into this. I forget if it was last week or the week before. The one concern I have that I could see things evolving in the way some of these things are going, with groups kind of getting associated with locations and running tours out of locations, and I haven't seen it happen yet, and I hope it does not happen. But I could certainly see the day where the fees alter or the fee structure changes, and part of those fees end up funding that team to just go ahead and buy their own equipment or go ahead and investigate other locations themselves and have it, absolutely nothing to do with the location. And I certainly hope that doesn't happen, because I think we'll see the pendulum swing in a bad way, and that there'll be enough people kind of getting out of this that we'll probably lose locations ultimately. So I hope that doesn't happen. But that's one thing that I could kind of see with. Because I've seen kind of a trend of people trying to kind of lock down locations, and so I don't know. Any thoughts, Tracy?
No, I agree with you, Matthew. I really do. But like I said, it's just, like Gary said, if it's your choice. If you want to go, you go. But just be mindful of the reason why you're going. Like in your case, up at the
Trans-Allegheny.
Yeah. I went to school in Florida, so big words I have an issue with. Beth, you go up there and you conduct your own little research up there, which is great. And you're getting results, which is even better. But I think a lot of these teams, especially young teams, like to go out and they'll get these locations that are paid, and they're like, okay, well, let's go. But when they go, and then they get disheartened because it's not what they thought it was.
Yeah, and I think some of them that watch the or are basing a lot of what they do off of watching the shows totally lose track of the amount of time involved when they're doing these tapings. And so, what they're having happen in general isn't a 2-3 hour window somewhere. It's either multiple tapings or over a very long period of time. So
right.
Yeah, very, very, very. I can see that disappointment too. I just always think back to it's kind of funny. One of the I haven't had a whole lot of full body apparitions that I've seen, but the one of the ones I saw, we were leaving Trans-Allegheny, and there was somebody that went there to do it. It was like one of their first hunts, and they were talking about how they're disappointed they didn't have any personal experiences. And I was telling them just, make sure you review your recorder. Sometimes it doesn't seem like there's a lot going on, and you'll be surprised what you end up recording. Well, here, walking right behind us was somebody else, and it was somebody that worked there. And I turned around, and I'm like, oh, wow, you picked up somebody strike, because we were the last ones leaving the building. And looked back, and that person was gone. And he had chills all over the right side of him, didn't realize that, didn't see anyone walking next to him. I'm the only one who saw it. But I just thought it was kind of ironic that this girl's talking about how she's disappointed that nothing's happening, and here there's a apparition walking like 4 feet behind her.
I love those.
Makes you wonder how many times something's going on and there's something right behind you, and it's. But anyway, I was also kind of curious. I want to talk a little bit about kind of how you guys approach evidence here as well. But I did want to get to kind of, obviously I know if it's a lot of private locations you can't speak to it, but I'm just kind of curious about favorite locations, and I guess kind of location that you were most uncomfortable in, to the extent that you could elaborate on that. I guess I'll kick that over to Tracy first, if you can answer either one of those.
Let's see. Oh, my best one? I really don't have a favorite because they're all my favorites. But the one that I am a little bit more leery about going than any of the others is a local cemetery that we have. Just because of some of the interactions that we've had there, just kind of make me leery. But
but I love to go there.
Yeah, because I'm the one that gets picked on. But when our last two investigations, I got to say they probably rank in the top two due to the fact that we're kind of trying something a little different. I know it's important to get history of the building and so on and so forth. And we do that still. We get the basic information. But when it comes to actually knowing what's going on in the place, we try to keep it to a minimum. This last two investigations we did. And I'm telling you, these last two places we went were just incredible.
Oh, wow.
It was kind of neat going into, not last night's investigation, but the one we had about a month ago. We knew nothing about the place. It was it was a brand new lighthouse that was probably maybe 4 or 5 years old, and the keeper's house was only about 2 years old. So, going in, we were thinking, what could possibly be in here? But what we found was absolutely astounding. Halfway through, after we did a couple EVP sessions, K2s, and so forth, we took a break, went outside and talked to some of the local people, and, the questions that we asked of them and the information they told us was almost exactly what we were getting responses to. So that was kind of the tip of the iceberg for me. Not knowing anything, going into an investigation, going in cold, but being able to piece things together.
Oh, wow.
Afterwards.
Susan, how about you?
I think, unlike Tracy, my favorite place to go is the local cemetery. It's so far out in the woods. There is no likelihood of any type of outside interference other than the coyotes and the deer, but we seem to get a lot out of that investigation. We train up there. We go up there at least once a month to keep ourselves fresh if we are inactive. And we always get something, whether it be a voice, whether it be something talking to us, whether it hits on our meters. We've done a lot of research, and oddly enough, at one point if we were to understand correctly, they couldn't leave the gates of the cemetery. They couldn't walk outside. So Tracy, we put our meters on the ground, and as Tracy coaxed it outside of the fence, the meter would light up when Tracy walked by each meter, and we got it step outside the fence, and it was, to me, it was amazing, incredible that that you're getting that kind of evidence, and obviously we're taping it as well, because I don't know, at work they call me the ghost girl, but I don't understand that. But I'm very skeptical. I'm in the group. I'm the first one to say, no, you gotta prove you're here. And Tracy is the exact opposite. He goes, I know they're here. I just have to coax them into speaking with me. Jeff and Dee as well. They're of like mind. They're the perfect teammates. They have the same goals that we do and believe the same way of investigating that we do. But the cemetery is, and probably the rest house. I really love the rest house as well. That we get all kind of some Civil War stuff and stuff from. So Those are my favorites.
Now, I'll ask this one from just kind of debating in my head order here. Any spot in particular that you're uncomfortable going to?
Me, absolutely not. Sometimes I get the chilly willies when things start getting really active, but once the chilly willies go away and I get settled down a little bit, then I love it. I absolutely love it.
Awesome. Well, then, second question then. 'Cause I'm just curious, and I'm not being flippant here, because I have a cemetery that I've got some odd activity at, but it always makes me kind of curious. Why do you think there'd be activity at the cemetery if in reality, unless they're tied to the body, these are generally locations that they have never been at. So just again, kind of curious of your thoughts. I don't doubt it one bit, because I've had experience myself in cemeteries, but it always makes me wonder kind of why is there activity there?
We ask the same question every time we go up there. There is nothing for anybody to attach themselves. We're not the first group that goes up there. There's several other groups that go. They're just as professional, and we don't have the answer to that. Is it a guide, one of our guides? Is it something that formed because of all of the different groups up there and having the desire that we've actually cultivated something to be there? We don't know, but we have never been let down since we've been going up there.
It's a very, very active place, and the neat thing about it is that other groups get different information than we get, different names, different EVPs, different results, but everybody always gets something there. We've seen everything from balls of light floating in the air to noises to just a lot of different things.
Oh, wow. Jeff, how about you?
That was me that just commented on that. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Gary, what about you?
Yeah.
What?
favorite spot, and any spot in particular that you're uncomfortable going to, or have been uncomfortable going to?
Well, I'd have to say, favorite spot's always Virginia City, but local, I would have to say the Union Station train depot out here, because I've had a lot of dream interactions prior to investigations, which actually led me to a spot which we actually caught some pretty credible stuff. And then each time we go, we're collecting more evidence each time. So I'm really pumped with that one. A little place called Mojo's of Ogden, which is on the historical 25th Street, right off of that area down there. We have a lot of interaction with the child every time we go there, including the voice, sounding like it's been bricked into the underground tunnels is the area we always get that voice. And those are pretty positive areas for me. Another positive area, but in the negative way, I would have to say is the old Tooele Abandoned Hospital. We kind of, back in my provoking days, invited an entity to, possess me. I ended up with attachments, and I actually had mediums and psychics emailing me at home before I'd even gotten on and put evidence or anything on from the investigation. So that's really got, like I said, a positive, negative way. And then I'm guessing in response to the cemetery question that you'd asked, I'm thinking that spirits or souls know that people are going to come to that site to search them out, and if they're looking for specific family members, I believe that's what would draw them into a cemetery. That's one of my beliefs in that area. So there's my responses to those.
Well, that makes sense. This perfect lead in here. So with your having the problem in the past with the attachment and the things with the with the hospital. How do you go about protecting yourself, and kind of what are your views or any advice to anyone out there on methods to keep yourself protected? Because I know you guys probably run into the same thing. Whenever I talk to anybody about this, the first thing they ask are, aren't you afraid of something following you home?
Go ahead, did you want to take that first, Tracy?
No, go ahead, buddy.
Okay, basically, number one, protection is just to stay vigilant the whole time. Listen, watch for signs. Do not lay on your back and double dare the demons come into your body. You're gonna get
hey, Gary, I don't know what happened, but you really faded out.
Oh, good. Well,
I think somebody doesn't want everyone to know your way of protecting yourself.
You must be eating mushy feet.
They have extra ribs on them. Anyway, I'm just saying, do not be stupid and provoke to the point of where you're going to be possessed or get an attachment. Some people wear crosses. It's your religious beliefs. The best protection is just to be smart and respectful, and some people do a clearance prayer. Myself, I really don't do anything. I'll talk about it. I wrote a book about it. It's with everyone else on my team, they have their own different things that they do. Me, to protect myself, I do not provoke to that point anymore. Basically, that's how I do it.
Okay.
Yeah, great. That's very good points. And we do the same. I leave it up to each one of our team members. I do say a prayer prior to each investigation that covers our team, and I leave it up to each team member to do so in their own way. But Gary's absolutely right in my book that the best way to keep it from happening is not to provoke it to happen. Now, I'm not saying it's right, but so far it's worked for us.
Oh, awesome. Gary, I'm curious about, you had mentioned about the, and maybe I misinterpreted what you were saying about, I think it was the train station with the having dreams prior to it?
Oh, yeah, Ogden Union Station.
Yeah, can you tell me a little bit more about what went on there?
Well, yeah, I had a bunch of, they were just so graphic, and certain images that were appearing. And I remembered, each and every detail each time I woke up. And it was happening for 4 straight days prior to me going to the investigation, actually centering around 2 separate locations, and then an actual figure of a woman, which we actually think we have a picture of materializing, which I think we're going to be posting here next couple of weeks on our site. And I got a name in the dream, and it's the same name that is yelled out on one of the EVPs. So I'm just trying to figure why, and it's confused me, and I talked to Tracy about it too. We just couldn't figure out what was the reasoning for that. And it was 4 dreams straight through the night, different images. I had different people interpreting and, giving me their inputs on it. And come down to it, during the investigation, I sent everyone else off on their own, and I just stayed in that area by myself, and that's when everything was picked up.
Oh, wow. The reason why I was curious on this is, and I mentioned this on an earlier show, and I will let everyone know on a future show what ends up happening with this, but could just be a coincidence, could just be on my mind, but I found this very, very interesting. A recent investigation that we booked, private place, somebody contacted us claiming fairly creepy stuff there, and again, this could have just planted the seed, I don't know, but it was very odd when we got the call from that one, and I would say about 4 to 5 days in a row after that, and it was actually when I wasn't the initial contact, it was another member of our team was in the contact, and so the message came, these people need help, are you able to do it? And so it was kind of like the 4 or 5 days before I gave the answer as to whether we were going to do it or not. Uh-huh. Just absolutely horrible dreams, like things that normally, like I have nightmares, I have kind of a wild imagination, but I mean things that you normally wouldn't have, like just really, really terrible stuff. And so that kind of was in my head. I'm like, because we've had some people on in the past that have said that they have felt like in certain times they were trying to get more or less intimidated out of going to a place kind of deal. And so I'm not saying that is the case here, but it certainly got on my radar as to, well, I wonder what's going on. If this place ends up being, a pretty active, kind of nasty place, then, I'll put some more credence to it. But I did find it very odd that it was only during those days when I was making the decision as to whether we were going to be able to go do this investigation or not, that I was having these absolutely terrible, terrible dreams.
Now, have you ever been in there before?
No, I don't know I know nothing about the location other than this is the person. It was only like 1 or 2 sentences worth of claim, so it's not like I got like graphic detail on the place yet or not. Are you able to do it? And so yeah, it's just odd. I mean, it could be total coincidence, but it's certainly on my radar. And if this ends up being a pretty interesting place, I will certainly, obviously without divulging anything sensitive, we'll at least tip off that we had some pretty weird experiences there. But just something, that's why when you said about the dream, it caught my interest, because I was like, oh wow, this is kind of weird.
Very interesting.
Have you ever had anything like that?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I say a lot of people say it's either an inner soul or guardian angel, and maybe trying to put bad images and warn you against going to these places. There's just all kinds of different things out there, so who knows?
Yeah, it was, like I said, very, very. Don't want to even like thinking about it. They were very, very bad dreams. Tracy, you ever have anything like that happen?
No dream sequences like that. However, I have very vividly, there's often times when we go to these places, just like this last place we just went to last night, is I think we may have made contact with a small child. And I really feel bad when we contact small children like that. I really get a real upset sense. So I went over to this one little house by myself, and I asked it to leave the house that I was in and to follow me over to this other house where we had some toys and stuff. And the whole time I was sitting there, I wish I had a camera on so you could see what I'm doing, but like a small child when he holds up his hands and goes, I don't know. The only thing I could picture when I was sitting there is this child just walking around going, I don't know. It just is so heartbreaking.
Oh,
but
wow.
I oftentimes when during our investigations, I get like images of stuff like that, but I try not to play off them just because it might be my imagination.
Exactly. That's why we were talking earlier when we were talking about the horror movie things, is why I don't watch, even though I used to love horror movies, I don't watch horror movies anymore because, again, kind of vivid imagination. I don't want to be, in a basement somewhere trying to do seriously and having my mind throwing images of the Grudge Girl going down the steps or something. So,
Sweet.
That's actually was the Grudge that made me think about it. I had to go up into this was a location. This is actually the location I was the most uncomfortable on. And best way I would describe it is, and I got to be kind of general because it was a private home, but I mean just horror movie stuff. If you hear the things that were going on in this house, it's the kind of things that you would see in horror movies. But I mean, again, not extreme stuff, but I mean it's the things that you would see in horror movies. And so because it was supposed to be pretty not nice, put it that way. We had the rules. We don't split up. Nobody even in another room by themselves. And so what was interesting is I'd be walking down a hallway and I would hear out of a bedroom that nobody was in. I'd hear like, hey. And this happened a lot. And the owner referred to us as the boys. It was me, another male investigator, and a female investigator. And we didn't know that at the time. It got picked up on the recorder that she was calling us the boys. Well, they went outside, and me and the other male investigator were sitting in the living room, and I have a EVP of this like hissing voice saying, "Go home, boys." But anyway, what this gets into is the attic, and this is where I got the whole Grudge thing made me think about this. So they wanted us to check out the attic. So I pull down the crawl space thing for the attic, and I'm going up the stairs. And all I can get out of my head now as I'm going up the stairs is that first scene in The Grudge where the Grudge girl thing's like right on the other side of the crawl space. I'm like, okay, I got to stop watching these movies. Well, I get up there, and the freakiest thing was I hear from the back of the attic a female voice say, Mathew. And I'm like, there is no way in hell I'm walking to the back of that attic. Now, I had the other investigator come up with me with flashlights, and we, scanned the whole thing to make sure nobody was up there. But again, just odd things. And so if this next location we're going to, I have similar experiences coupled with these dreams, I'll let everybody know there's something odd to it. But anyway, I kind of digressed there. But the Grudge girl made me think of that. Real quick, I want to make sure we have enough time to get everybody's contact things before we go to any other topic here. So, Tracy, I'll start with you. I know we posted some links earlier, but any way for people to get in touch with you or your team?
Sure. We have a Facebook page, and we have a website. It's Emerald Coast Paranormal Concepts, both on Facebook and the website. You can find both Gary and I on the Paranormal Family page. We're on and off during the day, just about every day. Well, that's where you can find us.
All right. Gary, how about you?
Yeah, you can check out our Facebook page, PRG of Utah. That's 3 separate words, and then www.prgofutah.co, not .com, .co. That's our website. And then I know I'm going to throw in a selfish plug here, but be on the lookout for my book coming out, Amidst the Shadows. It should be coming out in December. It's in publishing right now.
Yay!
Yay!
There you go.
Awesome. Just tell us real quick a little bit about the book, what it's about, and how you got involved in doing that.
Well, yeah, I just started, writing a bunch of different verses and, different beliefs on different subjects. But then I actually wrote into the book how it all started when I was a child, the experience I had then, another major experience I had while I was stationed in Spain, and then the real nasty experience I had here at the old Tooele Hospital. And then it covers a wide range of different subjects.
Interesting. Great. Real quick, I don't know, we're probably going to run out of time on doing this, but I'm going to go here anyway. One of the other things I wanted to ask you guys about was the whole piece of evidence. A larger group, you have different pieces in here. How do you guys go about deciding, like particularly on the audio side? You have a difference of opinion on whether something's legitimately EVP or not. How do you go about that process of deciding what's kind of in and what's kind of out? Tracy, I'll go over to you first.
Well, once I run through all the evidence myself personally, and then I'll set everything aside that I believe could be something. Susan takes a gander at it. She throws her input on it, and then we'll narrow it down a little bit more. And then we'll invite the team over, and then we'll not only look at what we kept, but what we threw away. And then as a consensus amongst the whole team, we'll say, okay, we believe this is an EVP, but here are the circumstances behind it, and let everybody else make their decision on it also. I mean, like I said, we're not all professionals. We can only go by what we know at that time,
That makes sense. How about you, Gary?
Yeah, I do that basically the same way, but I do differentiate in one manner. If we'll put all the EVPs out, and then we'll throw it down in the Dropbox since we all live quite a distance away from each other, and I get everyone's opinions. Before I used to actually say, oh, here's what I hear, here's what I hear. Well, I stopped doing that. I just put them on. And then I want to hear what everyone else says, and then we all, typically agree. If we can't agree, we'll get rid of the EVP. The only time that I will submit one is without, any of their approval, is if I was in a room and I was interacting at the same time and I was experiencing what was going on, and I know it's responding to me, and what I was saying and what I was doing at the time, I'll go ahead and say this is what, and this is how I want to post it, and generally they'll agree with it. That's the only difference.
Okay. Always like to end on this topic, so we'll stick with Gary first on this one. The Gary Price investigation bucket list. What would you put near the top of that?
Oh, good Lord. Like I said, I'm hooked on Nevada really hard. The Virginia City, I'd like a night at the Washoe myself. I know they just got done repairing to where you can actually get upstairs now, so I'll probably hit that off on my on next year. And then Goldfield, Nevada. I want to get down there and get into some of those buildings.
Well, you could. Awesome, Tracy. How about you?
Well, I just asked Susan. I said, "What would be your favorite place to go?" And she goes, "To Nevada with Gary."
Aww.
If I had there's two favorite places, and one may be so I don't know what the word, but I would love to go to Hitler's bunker for one, and then Alcatraz. Just our team go to Alcatraz by ourselves.
Ah, cool. Very cool. Jeff, how about you?
Jeff left.
I'm sorry. All right. And I know, so Susan's is Nevada with Gary, so okay. Sounds good. Well, I want to thank you all for being on tonight. Again, it was a pleasure speaking to all of you, and would love to have you back on in the future, either for a roundtable or another feature on the work you're all doing. So again, really appreciate you all being on with us tonight.
Yeah, I want to thank Tracy for inviting PRG of Utah to get on here and to share our opinions along with him. And thank you for letting us come on.
Yeah, thank you, Mathew. Thank you very much, buddy. And, whenever we can come on again, we'd be glad to.
Ah, great. Well, thank you very much. Again, I'd like to thank our guests tonight from Emerald Coast Paranormal Concepts, Tracy and Susan Todd and Jeff, and from Paranormal Research Group in Utah, Gary Price. And again, I want to thank all of you out there for listening to us this evening. Next week, we have author Luann Jolly and the Dead Time Paranormal Group will be our our co-hosts. Have a great weekend. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Thank you.
Ouija board, would you work for me? I have got to say hello to an old friend. Ouija board, Ouija board, Ouija board, would you work for me? I have got to get through to a good friend. Well, she has now gone from this unhappy planet with all the carnivores and the destructors on it. Ouija board, Ouija board, Ouija board, would you help me? Because I still do feel so horribly lonely. Would you Ouija board, would you Ouija board, would you help me? And I just can't find my place in this world. Well, she has now gone from this unhappy planet with all the carnivores and the destructors on it. Oh, hear my voice. Oh, hear my voice. Hear my voice. Hear my voice. Table is rumbling. The table is rumbling. The glass is moving. No, I was not pushing that time. It spelled T-E-V-E-N. The table is rumbling. The glass is moving. No, I was not pushing that time.